Hey, what's up? And welcome back to the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast. Your host, Thomas Keenan, coming at you with another fire guest. Today, I got my man, Roy Wragth, with us here. And this dude also comes from and is still heavily involved in the automotive space. And we're going to dive in. We're going to nerd out. We're going to talk some tech shit here today and some horsepower. We both kind of like that crap, if you haven't picked that up on me at all. But with that being said, man, this is going to be a cool episode because Roy is a specialist, and it sits near and dear to my heart because I was a specialist for so many years in the car audio field. And when you're a specialist, I mean, people come to you with just like some off the wall requests on occasion. Sometimes it's basic ass stuff, and it's like, hey, I just want level 1, level 2, level 3. I need this kind of upgrade package. And you go in there, you knock it out, and it's all smooth sailings. And every so often, you get that one that comes in that's supposed to be that real quick plug and play or simple upgrade that just goes and kicks you dead in the dick. And I see Roy over here laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. So, man, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming in because, before we started here, you and I were just chatting, and we got a lot of mutual people that we both respect and look up to and have good conversations with, people we've done business with. And I want to say thank you to those two gentlemen for kind of helping put us together as well. And that's Mr. Tony Watley and Scott Simons. And Scott's awesome, man. I've done business with him multiple times and been in rooms with him more times than I can count. And he's also been, both of those guys have been guests on this podcast too. So this is kind of just rounding out the circle.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And again, thanks for having me. Yeah, Tony and Scott, great folks. Look up to them. Huge car guys too. So go figures, they blend right in. But yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I'm a specialist. I'm happy to be here, share my journey, share my passion, and just, bring value to the audience wherever I can. So thank you for having me.
Let's cover the basics first, man. Tell me a little bit about your shop, what it is you do, and some of the specialty stuff that you're known for at this point.
Absolutely. So I own a high performance shop, and we specialize on the GM, so late model GM, LT, Gen 5 LT, LS stuff, Ford, and then Dodge. Lately, we've been getting just TRXs, so we've been kind of like niching down to that market, TRX, just because there's not a lot of people that do them. They don't fit on their dynos or whatever the case may be. And so, yeah, lately it's just been TRX after TRX, TRX. So we have our own custom packages for those. Everything from I don't want to void my warranty to I want a super twin turbo full engine build 9-second TRX to 8-second. We got you.
That's awesome. It's wild, man, what you can do, especially with these newer vehicles. And going into the technical side of it, and I want to jump in here a little bit, but I also want to get to more of the bones of what got you to where you are currently. But from a technical perspective, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that we can do with modern vehicles without going in and necessarily upgrading or replacing parts. Because this is my perspective, and maybe you can come in here and educate me or school me on it, and I'm open to that too. But everything now is computerized, right? Since, I don't know, I think it was 2008, the federal government came in and mandated that every vehicle have an OBD2 port. And for those of you who are like, what the fuck is Tom talking about? That is an onboard diagnostics version 2. It's a standardized port that's under the dash in every vehicle that allows installers, mechanics, people who are going in there to work on your vehicle to basically plug in, scan things, upgrade things, check the status. Hey, I've got a fault code here. I've got a fault code there. But at the same point in time, there's data that can get pushed through that port to make updates to the vehicle's computer. So tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing in that arena as far as like a basic upgrade or maybe, an ECM flash, which is a computer flash on some of these vehicles to improve the horsepower and performance.
So yeah, that's actually a really good question. And I think a lot of people get that mixed up or don't really understand the granularity that goes within that. But to an extent, it really depends on the platform. I'm going to focus on the TRX here, the Hellcat platform in general, but let's talk TRX since it's the newest, the latest and greatest. Generally, you can go in and obviously, we can unlock the ECU and do whatever it needs to do and flash it, tune it. But most of the guys don't want that. The reason is anytime you flash an ECU, it leaves basically a digital footprint. It changes the calibration verification or calibration ID number. So when they go and let's say something happens to your TRX and you flash it to stock, that number still changes. It's like fingerprints, right? So that number changes and they know that that calibration has been altered and that's how they figure out that it's been tuned. So generally on our end, we obviously educate the customer and let them know the risks, the trade-offs, all the laws, all the EPA regulations. And some of them are just like, I just want it to sound nice and hear the supercharger more. And we actually develop packages for that, like no tuning required, just a simple, catback intake, maybe a lower pulley sleeve that's not going to raise the boost drastically, and then go from, and that's kind of where we draw the line. No tuning, it's about 25, 50 horsepower and no compromising reliability.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, let's put things into perspective here too for those who are listening who are like, "What the fuck's a TRX?" Right? I have one. I'm on my second one. The first one's a hell of a story, which I've told here on the podcast before. But this truck comes from the factory with 702 horsepower. I forget what the torque is on it, but I mean, it's pretty damn dumb out of the box. So you come in here and you're saying a basic entry level package from you guys is going to add anywhere from 25 to 50 additional horsepower to a truck that's already making a disturbing amount of horsepower. Right? So this is not your Prius.
Yeah, and it goes up from there. We have 1,000 horsepower, 1,200, 1,400 horsepower, but pretty much cover the full spectrum. And
Yeah.
I agree. Like one of the challenges was this truck is not designed to do this. How do we get it to do this?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So from an engineering perspective, like how do you guys come in and develop these packages? Because business is business, right? And I think that every business should have some form of a package. And I'm a big fan of the good, better, best methodology. We used to do it in the car audio game. Obviously, you're doing it in the high performance game as well. But creating a package for an audio system or creating a package for let's call it a coaching or consulting agreement to work with somebody is a little bit different than going and creating a package for a very specific vehicle. Because, and I need the listeners here to understand, the automotive industry is very granular because let's call it VIN number. We got 17 digits in the VIN number. For those of you who don't know, every single one of those numbers and letters means something in the vehicle, right? For instance, the 10th digit in the VIN number always tells you the year of the vehicle. Okay. So if you have a 2022, let's call it Ram TRX versus a 2021 Ram TRX, there may be different pieces, parts that you need in order to integrate or work on that vehicle properly. So does the granularity of your packages go into, hey, if I have a 21, a 22 versus a 23 TRX, I need this package versus this one or this one? And that's kind of where, the questions come in for me. Like, how do you create so many different packages? Do you guys then go and keep this stuff in inventory if you've got demand for it? Or is it, hey, you leave the deposit and we're gonna basically place the order for your stuff. It'll be here in a week and then we'll call you to schedule. Like, what does that look like for you?
It's a combination of both, and that's kind of one of the toughest decisions I had to make as a business owner, but to an enthusiast. Like, how do I meet in the middle, right? Like, anytime I approach, a customer build, I'm looking at it as, okay, what's going to make the most sense for the business, but at the same time, if I was in their shoes, how would I like to be treated? What would I want to know? And that's the approach that I take. So yes, absolutely. Dodge, not necessarily, because from 2006 to 2022, it's all the same. A 300C, you can put a Hellcat in there. A Hellcat is a 300C with revised electronics. So Dodge is very friendly when it comes to that. On the TRX, you connect stuff's a little bit different, but I'm going to shift gears and I'm going to go over to the GM. So we work on GM as well. GM's a little bit more complicated. So if you have a 17 and if you have a 15 to 16 automatic transmission, cool, that's covered. If you have a 17 and 19, we have to do something else to do that. So basically, when I put my packages, they're based off the base vehicle platform. And my packages are going to come from data. Like, we have a dyno, we have trucks that we build, we have, my Camaro. I tracked it for 3 years, collecting data of each run and seeing, okay, this is what this car likes at this horsepower. This is what this car likes at this horsepower. This is what this car likes. And basically, after you see about, 50, 100 of those cars, you get an average of, okay, what parts work the best? What do we need to support those goals? And, how long is that going to last? And then boom, that's our package. So that's kind of how we approach that. I don't know if that kind of answers what you were looking for.
It does. And I want to interject here too, because I think it's cool. So at the higher level of doing upgrades in the performance sector of the automotive world, you guys are analyzing data. The data comes from you doing runs and probably, connecting to your dyno, right?
Correct.
Which is basically, it's this big drive-on machine. Your wheels are going to go on there. You tie strap this thing down to the ground or the piece itself. You start driving this thing like an asshole, but you really don't go anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So in the custom high-end car audio world, we do the same thing. So when it comes to a Joe Blow system who comes in and wants a radio and 4 speakers, which really doesn't happen anymore with today's modern head units, cool, you're not really doing much. But the guys who are coming in and spending several thousands of dollars and doing massive upgrades for sound quality, you're going to start running those through a system called an RTA, which is a bunch of microphones connected to a computer, and it's going to give you the same way you're looking at a horsepower curve, we're looking at an audio signal curve.
Okay, I get it.
Right?
I'm following.
We're staring at the data. We know what it should look like if it's going to be optimal. We know what it should look like if it's going to be optimal if the person listens to this kind of music versus this. And we can come in there and do multiple presets on it too. So, okay, cool. I'm going to pop into my new vehicle and I want to listen to hip hop one day. Boom, I'm going to hit preset 1. I want to listen to country. Cool, I'm going to hit preset 2. And it's going to change the actual curve of the sound, right? So my point here is, and this is how it relates to business, at the higher levels of things, in the automotive performance and the automotive audio industry, we're staring at data. So we go in there, we change parts, that we're doing the part swap, and that's system work. We are making or improving an existing system. Then we analyze the data so we can go back and make and improve the existing system further. So, and it's a repeat cycle. The same shit applies to your business, right? You have to go in and create the systems and processes. You have to establish the KPIs, the metrics that you need to track and look at to ensure that you're performing at a high level or at a good level or making money, not making money, right? So this is a revolving process here. Revise, improve the system process, analyze the data, go back and retweak and keep improving it over and over and over again. So it's like all of this stuff is directly correlated to business if you look at it in the correct manner.
Yeah, 100%. And you hit the nail on the head on that, because honestly, our packages came from that. Like, hey, what was the most common sold package in Q2? Oh, okay, cool. Let's find out why. Let's reach out to those customers and say, hey, what is it about this package that you enjoyed the most? Oh, I like this. Okay, here's the consistency. Here's why this package sells. Tried and proven. Let's focus on that. Let's remove this that is not selling. So yeah, that's kind of where, yeah, a combination of both has to be there. You have to like put your passion into it first, but you also have to see like, hey, is this really working? And if it's not working and it's something that you love, hey, sorry, like the business has to stay afloat. So that's got to go.
Yeah. The same thing used to happen with us a lot in the audio world. Like this great, amazing new product would come out and they claimed it's going to do all these cool things. And then you actually install it and it does like maybe 2 of the 10 well, and the rest of them like complete dog shit.
Yep, same shit.
So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you have to just go and play with it. And oftentimes as the owners, as the enthusiasts of those businesses, right? Like we're the guinea pigs. Like, yeah, throw that thing in my car. We'll try that first and see if it works. If it works, great. Awesome. Then we start to push that product to our clients. But if it works like complete dog shit, we say, okay, that really sucked. Maybe I screwed something up in my own vehicle. It is what it is, right? It's part of the gig. Let's pull that out. Let's swap something else in there and move on. But these are the kind of things that as business owners in the high performance automotive world, we're doing behind the scenes, and no one really knows about it either. Right.
Yeah, we're that guy in the background. And then people are like, how do you know this? And I was like, man, if only you knew,
Yeah.
at 4 a.m. and an idea came to my head. I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. All right, let's backtrack here. Let's get some of the bases of you covered. Like, where does this passion for the automotive world come from, and how'd you kind of get into the business ownership spot that you're at now?
Passion has always been there. As a kid, I would skip school, pretend to do my homework. So my neighbor, he had a little repair shop in his backyard, and so I would do that, jump the gate, go work on cars. That stemmed into started getting in trouble in high school, just bad neighborhood, running from cops on 4-wheelers. I mean, you name it, gambling, whatever. Let's not get into that, but you get it. Had to join the military, ended up joining the military. I served 11 years working on helicopter engines, so power plant mechanic. After that, transitioned over to the corporate. Hey, dream job. Let's go work at NASA. Let's go work at Google. But something was missing. I wasn't being used to my potential, and I just felt empty. It was like, man, like I'm putting in the work, like I'm seeing the results, but something is not there. Something is not there. I met Tony through the 365 Driven Society, and I just started listening to his podcast. I signed up to be in the 365 Driven Entrepreneurs, and then I started seeing the possibility. And
Mm.
what was missing was the fact that I need to be doing something for myself, because I'm one of those driven individuals that when I see a goal and I list out the steps to get there, nothing is going to stop me. So I clashed a lot with the corporate, not in a bad way, but more so of like, yo, we can hit this goal and crush the other goal as well. Why
Yeah.
just limit ourselves to this goal? So that's where the business came from it. And I had no idea what I'm doing. I literally quit a six-figure salary, jumped in head first with no idea. And I mean, we're still here. It's been a year since we opened up, and it's not the easiest, but we're
Mhm.
still here. And I think it's because of that drive, that determination, that failure is not an option. Like that's
Yeah.
the shit that kind of fuels me.
Man, that's impressive as all hell. Because if you didn't tell me you were in business for just a year at this point, I wouldn't have known. Because I look at it, and let's just be real here. Outside perspective looking in is always, we see the good things for the most part, right? But from my perspective, it's like, dude, I see your presence on social media. You got a ton of content you put out there. Like you're always showing videos, and the thing that caught my eye the most, and this is how, in my opinion, the people who are true experts, they attract people not just from the local region, but they attract people from all over the country, regardless of where you are. That's one of the reasons that Scott's so damn successful, because he's selling everyone in the goddamn country at TRX.
Everybody, bro.
Yep. But I look at that, it's like, okay, cool. This is a true expert, someone who really knows what they're doing when they can attract people from all over the country to ship vehicles into your shop here in Texas to get some work done. Right. And that's just, dude, I think it's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And I've been doing it for 5 years, but it's more of a hobby. When I opened my shop up full steam, that was when I was like, okay, like I need to do this. So yeah, thank you. And obviously that's an extension of the network, surrounding yourself with the right people, having the right mindset, taking action, believing yourself, all the basic principles that I think you and I share a lot of interest in, or a lot in common.
Sure. Yeah, man, for real. So when you started this thing up full time, did you have a location prior? Did you have, like your setup, your gear, your tools, or was this like, oh, I got to go invest in a bunch of this stuff to get rolling?
I had some savings from, I was working at Waymo, which is Google's self-driving cars, a program manager there. I literally had everything I had. I dumped my 401k. I dumped all of my savings. I dumped everything. We moved here. My building was supposed to be ready. Fire marshal was like, no, it's not. So for 6 months, I was floating like storage fees, keeping my dyno and my lift that I just purchased. But eventually, we overcame that hurdle, and we started getting cars through the door. So I'm bootstrapping it essentially.
Yeah.
Like no partners. Like I don't have loans. I don't have any of that. It's just an area that I'm not versed in, or I don't understand, but it's not something I'm not opposed to. But right now, it's like, let me figure it out. Like you said earlier, let's be the guinea pig. Let's make the mistakes. And once we make the mistakes and figure out what we need to do to scale, then, okay, let's revisit that conversation.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Hey, you got a big solid set of brass balls to go ahead and do it, right? Because no offense, you're not a spring chicken. Neither am I.
No, hell
Right?
no.
My first go with it, I was 20 years old, and there was a local dude who owned multiple repair shops and a gas station and just automotive repair center kind of place. This dude named Jerry, and guy pulled me aside one day. I was working for a local car audio shop, and we were doing like nice work, like big high end work, big name people. Pulled me aside one day, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm working my ass off. I'm coming over here at night to do side work for you." And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "That's what I'm telling you." He goes, "You're not married. You have no kids. You have no responsibilities. Now is the time." And he wasn't wrong, right? He wasn't wrong. So the dude pulled me aside. He took $2,000 in cash out of the register. He stuffed it in my hand, and he said, "Go do your shit."
Damn, that's dope.
Yep.
That's actually pretty dope. A lot of pressure on you too, though, if you think about it,
Yeah, it was. And I said, "All right, cool." I left. I went. I did my thing. That $2,000 did not go very far, by the way, for those who are wondering. But man, that gave me like, oh, cool. Someone sees something in me that I don't necessarily see in myself, and I'm just going to go for it, right? I wound up fumbling that ball massively and wound up closing that shop down 5 years into it. but I don't regret anything that I had done while I was there, because I went into that business with no funding except for like that $2,000 and a couple $100 cash that I had. Right. And on top of that, it was like, oh, I've got my basic tools that I've used at someone else's shop, but they always supplied the big stuff. They always supplied the air tools and the fabrication room and all that stuff that you need. And here I am, 20-year-old kid. I got my basics that can be somewhat mobile with me, but that's it. And it took me literally reinvesting all the money that was being made into, okay, let's go find a facility. Okay, what tools do we need to really do this at the proper high level that I know I can operate at? And that money that was made went in, paid some of the bills, not all of them, because we didn't make it. But that also went into, investing into the correct tools and materials and supplies that were needed to really operate a real high-end, high-level car audio facility. And I still have a lot of that stuff to this day, right? And even though I'm not in the industry, I mean, this is just my personal opinion, right? I invested so much of my time, like my energy, my soul, into that industry, that there's pieces of it that I'm just not willing to let go of. So my big ass black Snap-on toolbox made its way onto a fucking truck in New York and got moved down here when I moved to Texas. And courtesy of that, we hit some overweight fees, and I had to pay a hell of a lot more money to get it here. But it's one of those things that, like, I'm emotionally attached to it because it was such a big part of me for so many years. So, hey, it's with me. It's coming. It is what it is. But, starting up that company and not having everything that you need to actually go and do and survive makes you very resourceful, because you're like, oh shit, I can't go buy that tool. I don't have access to that tool. I need to get this project done and out by the end of the day or by the end of the week. What else can I use, or what else can I supplement? How else can I get this done without that? And it really forces your brain to operate in a different modality. But I also think it helps strengthen me to operate in different areas too. Because now when the heavy duty business challenges pop up in life, I'm not like, oh, fuck, well, we can't do that until we get this software. Or I can't do that until we hire this person. Like, no, shut up and figure it the fuck out. Right? It's kind of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And man, you hit some really good key points that kind of resonated with me, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with the listeners here. Where you talked about, just not finding, obviously being resourceful, but the emotional connection. And the first, I would say, maybe 5 or 6 months, that was the hardest thing to do, letting go of your personal, like, oh, I love this, I can't let this go, it's not working, but I just love it, it's dear true to my heart. But I think once I started letting that go and seeing there's a bigger picture to that, I started kind of grasping the concept from the business side. Again, I still have a lot to learn, but yeah, that kind of hit home for me, because I know what you're going through. If the audience is listening and they're going through this, we've been there, we know what it means. But at the same time, we have to be resourceful. We have to make sure, like, hey, is this going to work? I don't have access to that. How can I get access to that, instead of, let me just shut down?
Mhm.
The biggest question I get asked is, what happens if your business fails? What happens if it fails? Do you understand what I've learned to this date? If I wouldn't have done what I did, I would have never been here. So if I fail,
Mhm.
okay, cool. I take what I learned, apply it to something else, and eventually the holes on the Swiss cheese are going to line up, and boom, I'm there. So I never look at things as failure. It's hard to let go. Yes, I agree with you there. But
Mhm.
if your audience is listening, I would say, yeah, don't give up. If you have a passion, if you have a dream, like, keep going,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
do whatever it takes.
Yeah, man, it's lessons learned is how you got to look at it, right? Because I spent 5 years in that first company, and I don't regret a single moment of it because I learned so much. I always say it like this, man. I didn't go to college, right? It just wasn't my thing. I actually was cutting college classes to go do car audio installs. And I
College
spent
dropout? No, same here. Anyway.
so so I went in there, did this whole business thing, and it forced me to learn at a very high level very rapidly, or I was done. So I always equate the 5 years I spent in my first business as me going in and getting an MBA in just life and actual real like boots on the ground business. So I went in there, learned all this shit, and even though I closed the business and lost a bunch of money, I still pulled all of this knowledge and all of these tangibles, all these tools and these materials and supplies with me. And from there, I went and worked for a dude for 3 years. And this dude understood the business side of it like way better than I did. So I came in pretty much, we didn't partner because I was his employee, but I ran, and his shop was really cool. We did pretty much everything automotive, right? From performance upgrades to lift kits to wheels and tires to like you name it, we did it. And I just ran the whole 12 volt automotive section of that shop for him. So anything that had to do with 12 volt, like I got it. But what that did was it set me up to go in. Okay, I've got this skill set that's going to really plug in and work real nice with this dude's existing business, and it helped me take his existing business and blow it up even bigger than what it was because I had a skill set that was missing from his organization. So the 3 years of time that I spent there, okay, cool. I'm pouring into you, and I'm giving you what I know. I'm giving you the systems and processes that I know in the audio space. But he's also pouring into me and teaching me how to do life and business. Okay, cool. This is a win-win, folks.
Win-win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
win-win. So I'm just wired as an entrepreneur. So my 3 years there come up, right? And my body's saying, like, I can't do this anymore. I can't work for someone else anymore. I got this itch. I got this yearning to go do it again. And after about the 3 year mark is when I went and did it again. And that second round lasts 11 years.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Congrats.
Yeah.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, we pivoted. I had a partner in that company, and we switched to GPS tracking and dash camera installs for commercial vehicles. So same skill set for the most part that's required for the audio, much simpler to be quite honest with you, but the volume was increased exponentially. So we're not doing one vehicle for 3 months. Now we're going and doing 500 vehicles in a month. So, and like, we're not talking big time in each vehicle either. We're talking some installs are 15 minutes. Some of them could be a couple hours, and you're done. You moved on. You collect your money. Have a nice day.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Same in our space. Some cars are, others are nope. But at the end of the day, cars come in, cars come out. You get paid. If the cars stay still, you're fucked.
Yeah. The term we used to have for those was flower pots.
Yep, flower pots or beach whales if they're on the lift.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So tell me a little bit more about the company. Like, what are you guys trying to do here? Like, let's call it, within the next 12 months, what's the future goal, the future version of the company, and who you're trying to serve, and what are you trying to do?
So honestly, I'm a boots on the ground, super casual, laid back dude. Do I have big plans? Absolutely, yes. Do I have milestones to get there? Yes. But being realistic, really just figure out, like, we have an idea. I would like to have, use my current shop, put in more lifts, have another tech, and just kind of have this thing more of like an autopilot. Hey, these are the systems, the processes that work. This is our new standard operating procedure, and basically just be able to, develop partnerships or nonprofits organization. I'm a veteran, so I'm a combat veteran. I have 3 tours. I'm big into jujitsu, mental health, physical health, building relationships. So that's my personal why. So blending that, being able to use my platform through high performance cars to help people get over, struggles in life, struggles in business, struggles with mental health, physical health. I want to be able to bridge that gap using my platform as a resource outlet. So business owners, people trying to develop themselves, grow personally, maybe level up in their corporate career. That's kind of my ideal audience.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Hey, let's thank you too for doing what you did, man. I appreciate that, for real. Tell me about jujitsu.
So jujitsu, I get a little personal here. Jiu-jitsu was an outlet for me. So, obviously I have 3 combat tours. We were bombed. I mean, you name it. I've seen air ambulance. So I've seen a lot of stuff, and I was young. So I wanted to be like, let's go back. Like, I'm going to extend and let's get these motherfuckers, but fast forward, 7, 8 years after that, it all kind of fell back because now I have nightmares. Now I'm survivor's guilt. Like, why them? Why not me? And, in '08, it got to a point where it was really bad where I tried to kill myself. Like, I put a gun in my head and I pulled the trigger, and somehow the bullet jammed. So I knew right away that I needed help. I started doing the whole mental health with the psychiatrist, psychologist. 12 years later, I needed to get some kind of exposure therapy to help with my claustrophobia because you couldn't scare me. If you scare me, I would turn around. I would try to like my life was in danger. I would try to defend myself. I can't go to haunted houses. I can't go to concerts, but jujitsu was an outlet to where people are going to try to kill you in a controlled environment, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that you're going to learn. So I learned if you get stuck, there's always a way out. You just got to work for it and find it. Create space, make a hole, shrimp out, and then go back to an, offensive position. And when I realized that taking that concept directly applies to life and business, it was kind of a win-win for me. So I've been on and off for about 3.5 years. I took a year off because of my shoulder, but I've been consistent now since 2021, and I'm a blue belt now, so one stripe blue belt. So I think that jujitsu is very instrumental because sometimes I have tough days in business. I go to jujitsu. We have tough days in training where I'm stuck on something, and hey, there's a hole there. Get out, go that way. And then when I come to the shop, I'm like, wait a minute, there's a hole there. Let me go that avenue, and sure enough, I get out. So
yeah, you're seeing a lot of correlation between what you're learning on the mat versus business and life.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning on the business side. So for you guys listening out there, I'm not some 9-10 figure entrepreneur that's got it figured out. Nope. I'm just a regular guy trying to be the best version of themselves,
Yeah, man. I hear you. No, that's awesome. It's and the reason I ask, it's something that's kind of been on my list, and the signs keep popping up in front of me like, hey, you should probably go do this. You should probably go do this. You should probably go do this. So here we are. You're another one of those signs who's like, oh yeah, I do jujitsu. Oh, okay, there's another sign. So let's dive in and learn a little bit more about this. So, all right, here's a question still related to jujitsu. If you were to start from scratch again and figure out and find a place to go and what would you do? What avenue would you go? Would you go and find a recommendation from someone who's local, or would you walk into a couple of local places and kind of just see what it's about? What did that look like for you?
Honestly, it depends on the person. I don't really give a fuck. I'll show up to anybody and I'll go train, right? Like if I get beat up, I'm not some cocky, egotistical fuck, excuse my French, that I don't care. I'm super chill. I'm down to learn. Cool. So I would just go into a gym. There are some gyms, actually, you're near me. I think you're near a couple gyms that I can refer. I can introduce you to some of the instructors. There are some good people. But the biggest thing is, I come at it as like, I'm going to go in there. It's going to be hard. People are going to like beat the crap out of me. And I have to accept that. And I have to keep showing up. And I'm not going to get any better for the first year. I'm going to make zero progress. I'm going to show up 3 times a week and get smashed, get choked out. But I'm going to keep showing up. And on that second year, the first day of the second year, things are going to start to click. You're like, oh, wow. Okay, I get it. This is cool. I want to keep coming back. What else can I learn? So that's why I think the correlation between business and jiu-jitsu is the same, because the first few years, it sucks. Right. But you have to like look at the big picture and get going. But to answer your question, I would just drop in, man, open mat, say, hey, I'm new. I want to check this out. Boom. Usually they'll have like a black belt or a high level belt that's kind of going to walk you through, go over everything. And maybe you don't like that gym. Go to another gym, go to 2 or 3 other gyms, see which ones you like the best, and then just keep showing up to that one. And you'll start seeing that's how the community kind of, I guess, not accepts you, but that's how they know that you're in it to win it, not just some guy showing up to like relieve some stress for the day and try to like beat everybody up.
Yeah, got it. That makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
Where can we connect, man? Where do we find out more about you and the motorsports company?
Yeah, so I have my own personal branding site. It's royw.com. It's pretty straightforward. It's got my shop. It's got my TRX forum, my Facebook group. Everything automotive, all my website stuff that I do, my website design. So it's got everything on there, my bio, anything you need to know, go there. You can contact me, reach out. Like I'll take care of you. If there's anything I can do to help you, obviously I'm going to be there. I'm going to try.
That's awesome. I'm gonna end it off on this, okay? Because you've got some good guidance there, in my opinion. A lot of people come on podcasts and they say, hey, where can we find you, kind of deal, and they list off these 5 or 10 different places to go find them. Bro, you're confusing the shit out of people. You keep it simple. And this is like marketing 101 too. It's like you direct them to one place, and that one place, all your shit better live there.
Yep.
So well done there, man, for real.
Thank you. And this is something I just learned, right? So, but when I heard, I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because I'm not trying to look around 10 different links, I ain't got time for that. But thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in here today.
Thank you for tuning in to the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast. Make sure you head over to stepitupentrepreneur.com and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast.